Genesis chapter 3 verse 8. And they heard the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God among the trees of the garden. Okay, so here God comes walking. Now we know God is everywhere, so it's not as if God spirit walks somewhere. How did it happen? We have no idea. Okay, was it some kind of wind blowing, some kind of rustling in the leaves, some kind of, we don't know. We were not there. Adam and Eve knew God did it to them before because they could discern, in other words, that God is coming. Okay, and the time of the day that God is coming is in the cool of the day. So God is not coming there. I mean, He knew that they already ate this. He didn't come down the moment they took that Adam and Eve took those first bites. He didn't immediately come down with a lightning bolt, a Thor lightning bolt from up there in the sky and um, uh, kill them on the spot, kind of idea. No, he was he was letting them be. He was letting them grow and see that they're naked. He was letting them make loincloths. And in the best time of the day, here God comes. In the cool of the day, He comes. And He comes to speak with them. He's not, this is an important point because we have this idea of there's this, in the Old Testament, this God on the one side and we on the other side, and the twain will never meet kind of idea. Okay, that's the wrong idea. Okay, this idea of this big gap between God and us, and then when Christ came, He put this cross in there, and now we can cross over the cross to the other side and be able to communicate with God. No, that's nonsense. Okay, it distorts the truth of the Bible. It creates bad theology ultimately. Um, that's not what happened because here they sinned, but God still going to come down and communicate with them, although God knew that they sinned. Okay? And throughout the Bible, God is going to keep on speaking to people to go and tell. Right? So we never get this idea that God is on one side and He's not reaching at all out to the other side, kind of idea, making it impossible, making this total breach between God and man, kind of, and there's no way to go to get in communication with God. There are lots of people. David wrote lots of Psalms where he's communicating with God. All the apostles were communicating with God. Okay? So yes, in the New Testament, through the cross, it makes it easier. We can, as all believers, we don't need Davids, we don't need apostles, we don't need to go to our priests or pastors or whatever, or reverence. Okay, we can go straight to God, right? But that does not mean that God was not reachable in the Old Testament. Okay? So God comes down. There's another very important thing where we, as Christians, tend to think that the God of the Old Testament is evil and the God of the New Testament, Jesus, the smiling hippie with the long hair and the beard, blue eyes. Okay, not a lot of Jews with blue eyes. Anyhow, same might say this. Uh, that smiling kind of right. He's a fun guy, but that Old Testament guy, killing people all over the place, making us eat fruit, that evil guy, right? I will get back to that because at the end of this chapter I want to speak about the grace of God in this chapter. Okay, here is an example already of it. God came to speak with them in the cool of the day when it's nice for them. Not the time of the day doesn't matter to God, but it's when it was nice for them. He was thinking actually of when is the best time for them. God that created everything, thinking of them when is the best time for them, even after they sinned, right? Even after God is still taking care of them. Okay, that already ought to imply to you that God is not this evil uh, ogre up there in the sky just waiting for us to do something wrong to destroy us on the spot. Okay, continue chapter 3 verse 8. So when God came down, what did they do? What was their reaction? They hid themselves, right? And the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God among the trees of the garden. more bad theology that's in the church. Um, there's this whole concept of we as humans are not bad. We're actually bad, but not that bad. Okay? We are slaves to sin, but only 90% or 99.9%. But we still have this 1%, but or 0.1% or 0.0001% kind of 0.0001% kind of where we're still sort of good and we sort of can make a choice. Um, Please show me a place in the Bible of one person who made the right choice, and not the right choice, but when he gets to salvation. Um, God is always reaching out. Right? The whole Bible is about God reaching out, like He's doing here. God is coming down to them, and that moment when God came to them, they were not like penitent children running out to God. My Father came, please forgive me. I did something wrong. Yeah, we did what we were not supposed to do. Okay, remember Adam and Eve? They were perfect moral beings. Already been flying over us just in the last 40 minutes. Okay, anyhow, remember Adam and Eve, they were perfect moral beings. God didn't make them morally neutral. God taught them what's good, what's bad. They had no sin in them. Adam and Eve sinned. And we, today, children of Adam and Eve, we try to imply that if we were there in the garden, we would not have eaten it. We try to imply that we can make the right choice of following God. Right? This is this concept of in the church. It doesn't matter which denomination. Of us being good people. Why does bad things happen to good people? So as Paul said, there are no good people. There's always only one good person, that is Jesus. Right? We have this concept of us good human beings running towards heaven, streaming to get towards into heaven, and there an evil God is standing and he's like saying, stop, you're not getting in, I'm sending you to hell, Right? The truth of the matter is it's the opposite. We, all human beings, we hide from God, like Adam and Eve. We are running away from God. We're trying to get away from God. Okay, like Peter, after the miracle Jesus did by multiplying, or by not multiplying, by giving them fish when they went out to fish, and saying, get away from me. We push God away. We ran away. We ran to hell. We want to go to hell. And the truth is, a good God stands in front of hell and says, no, you're not getting in here. And even is like trying, like when there's a bunch of kids in this hut and they want to get in the river and they want to swim. And say, for example, like here now, say a bunch of kids would come now and they want to swim in the stream here. And I mean, you're going to get sick. You're going to that river. Okay, small kids and wonder, they don't understand it. You understand it, and so like I would like try and hold my hands out. You're trying to stop them, but they're going to push me to get me into that river, Okay, that is where we are. That is who we are. That is true humanity. Adam and Eve did not rush out to meet God when He came to communicate with them. Adam and Eve ran away from God. The problem in humanity is not that there's this gap between humans and God. Okay? The problem is that we don't want to go to God. We don't want to cross over to God. Okay? We don't want to be with Him. We want to be away from Him, like Adam and Eve.